N8N just dropped one of the biggest updates in a while. They released their own workflow builder. Now, a lot of newcomers and people who are starting out will have much easier time in getting the basics done. So let's put it to the test and see if it's actually a useful addition to the N8N and if it actually helps or moves the needle for people who are starting out. So in order to access this feature and start using the workflow builder, you have to go to N8N admin panel and you have to update to 1.16.1 latest beta. Also keep in mind that you can use this feature only in N8N cloud instance, meaning that if you're self-hosting your N8N, you would not be able to use this feature. Now we'll move to the empty canvas. And as you can see, now we have a new option called Build with AI. So let's go ahead and click on that. And something important to mention, this workflow builder works on a credit system. So now, as you can see, I have 38 credits left out of 50, meaning that I can do 38 more requests. So let's go ahead and paste the prompts that I already generated before. And here I'm asking, build a workflow that retrieves the last 50 emails from one email account. Perform AI analysis to identify action items, priorities, and sentiment. Generate a brief summary and send to my email with categorized insights and recommended actions. So now we're going to go ahead and click. So now the workflow builder is thinking and it's going to generate a workflow for us. So let's wait and see what kind of results we get. Now we got back finished result from the workflow builder. And as you can see, everything looks very good to the eye. It seems like everything that I asked for. So what we asked is build the workflow that retrieves last 50 emails from one email account. Then identify action items, which will be done with AI agent that has OpenAI chat model attached. And then it's going to send the report back to these emails that I mentioned in a prompt. So now if we go down, we can see it tells us how to set up. So basically we have to configure Gmail authentication, connect our Gmail account, add OpenAI API keys, as well as activate the workflow. So let's go ahead and test it real quick. But before testing, let me double check. So as you can see, I already have my credentials connected, so we don't have to do this step. So let's go ahead and just double check everything. So now let's actually try testing the workflow and see what kind of results we get. And is it something that we can fully rely on, or is it something more than we have to go inside and change things up a bit? So let's execute the workflow. So the workflow got executed, and I just realized I made a huge mistake overlooking this part. I got 50 emails sent to me at once. But doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and look at the email and how does it look. So I'm inside this emails that was sent. And as you can see, everything is structured very nicely and is very beautiful to look at. However, there's no useful information. In a summary, we just have analysis of recent emails completed and no actions item were found, nothing that tells us anything about the email. So let's go ahead and go back to the workflow and see where the issue may be. So let's close this part down. So here, nothing complex should be here. It's scheduled trigger. Basically, the workflow is getting scheduled once a day at midnight. Here it's edit fields, workflow configuration. As you can see, we are creating a predefined data that is going to be passed along the workflow. We have the recipient email, which is the email where we have to send it to, which is my email. That's what I was asking in the prompt when I was prompting the workflow agent to create this workflow. Max emails, 50, something that I have asked for as well. Now, if we go to the get last 50 emails, you can see that we're passing the max emails from the previous edit fields node, and this is 50, that is what we were wanting. The only thing I would have changed here myself, instead of simplifying the data for the output, I would have untoggled this because we don't have the ability to access the full email and the full contents of email when we use the simplify option inside of Gmail nodes. So if we look for something like text, we will not be able to find that. So unfortunately, we probably would be having to use snippet. And I assume that's what will be passed here. So you can see that the snippet is being passed here, and if I'm being honest, I'm not sure why the workflow builder created the step. I think it's useless. All we had to do is just pass the snippet inside of AI agent right away. So let's go inside the analyze emails with AI agent node and see what kind of prompt is set up there. So analyze the following emails and identify action items, priorities, and sentiment. Basically, everything that I prompted the workflow builder to build, it used a very similar prompt inside for the AI agent. So That's something that we should expect. Here in emails to analyze, it just pass the snippet, which sometimes would not be enough if the email content is huge. But everything seems fine here. So let's go to this part. And as you can see, we're using edit field notes so we can format the email the way email looks. Because of the step, our email looks very nice. And we're basically creating an HTML here. So let's look at the issue here. So as you can see, we're passing this JSON and it says analysis of recent emails completed. However, we should have been passing, let's see, let me delete this part. We should have been passing the summary. And as you can see now, we have the email contains a notification about a new post by Michael Wacht about AI terms specifically on the topic of self-attention. So that's what we should have passed initially. And if we go down, let's look at what's being passed. So basically, very weirdly structured HTML. And I'm pretty sure that the issue lays here. Did it do well in terms of getting the basics done? Yes, it did. And all we have to do is basically maybe get rid of this edit field, go inside of Gmail, untoggle the simplify option, work with the full text instead, and create a better format for the HTML and pass the actual summary. So I would say it built 70 to 80% to what we needed. And all we have to do here is refine. Did it save us time? Probably. Probably something like this would have taken me 20 minutes to do, or maybe 40 minutes. But this did it for me in just within a couple of minutes. And all I have to do is just edit a couple of parts inside the workflow and I'm good to go. So let's go ahead and now actually try using something more complex and more complex prompt and see how the workflow builder deals with that. Now let's go ahead and use the prompts that might complicate things for the workflow builder. Now let's use something more vague, yet at the same time, it can be a bit complex for the system to create. So what I'm asking here is create a workflow that summarizes articles. It should start with a submission where I paste an article URL and then use Perplexity to get the article content and the most important points, then send a summary to my email and make it clear and easy to read. So let's go ahead and send it and let the workflow builder start creating the workflow for us. So let's wait and see what kind of results we get. Okay, the workflow got generated for us and we see the setup. So basically it tells us to activate the workflow, enable the form, access the form URL, configure the Gmail application, add Perplexity API credentials. I'm pretty sure all of those steps are actually already done. So let's go ahead and quickly test how it works. So here we're going to click execute the workflow and I'm going to paste one article in regards to Sora 2 from OpenAI. Then click get summary and see how the workflow works and what kind of email we get. So the workflow got executed, and let's go ahead and see what kind of results did we get. So this is the result. Basically, nothing. We got some sort of email structure, not as good to look at as the email from the previous workflow, but let's go back and see where the issue might be. Let's look at the form. Everything got submitted. We have the articles that I was interested in. Then let's go to the edit fields and the same step is done here. Basically, predefined data that is going to be passed along the upcoming nodes for the email to be sent out to. Even though it could have been made a bit easier, all it had to do is just paste the email as is to this field, but instead it just adds an extra step. Now let's go ahead to the get article summary, and as you can see, it's doing a weird JSON right here. It says, please read and summarize the article at this URL, and the URL is undefined. So all it should have done, it just should have typed in without using any JSON the prompt, and then it should have pasted the JSON for the article URL. But instead, it did a lot of weird things, which end up not working out. So I'm pretty sure the issue should be only here, but let's go ahead and just check the other nodes. So here, oh, things don't look good at all. As you can see, nothing is being passed here as well. So it's pretty self-explanatory now why we didn't get anything in our email. So instead of telling everything all together at once, let's just do a one small edit and see how the workflow builder handles that. So we're gonna prompt the workflow editor to just, instead of using this complex JSON, just use the prompt in a textual format and then add article URL as the prompt. So let's go ahead and actually do that. So I'm gonna type it in. So I typed in the prompt to prompt the workflow builder to actually change the prompt inside of Perplexity. So if we read it out, I basically say, simplify this Perplexity prompt. Instead of wrapping everything in JSON syntax, write it as plain natural language. Only use the workflow variable notation for referencing the actual article URL field. Keep the summarization requirements clear and concise. I'm not trying to give it too clear of the instructions in terms of I'm not giving how the article URL JSON should look like, so we can test would it work well with someone who doesn't know how to use N8N and who's completely new to the whole automation field. So let's go ahead and see if the edits that the workflow builder does are actually useful. So now we got back the final result from the workflow builder, and basically says that it simplified Perplexity prompt to plain natural language, remove JSON syntax wrapping while keeping workflow variable notation for the article URL field. So let's go ahead and check it out. As you can see, it did not do exactly what I was intending to do in terms of the wrapping is still around the plain text that should have not had that wrap, but good news are the URL now pops up. So it kind of did the task well, but at the same time, it did not do it well enough. And it's pretty understandable because I provided very vague task and very vague orders. But I tried to replicate how a beginner would talk to the workflow builder. So is it something that a beginner can benefit from? Yes. Will it do all the tasks perfectly fine? Probably not. So let's go ahead and try building something much more complex and see how the workflow builder works with that. So now I went ahead and I pasted a bit more complex of a prompt with more rules and tasks that for the workflow builder. Something to keep in mind that I just found out, we can paste maximum 1,000 characters in that workflow builder input chat. So if you have a prompt more than 1,000 characters, unfortunately, you would not be able to work with that. So you have to ensure that whatever you're prompting your workflow editor with, you use the prompts that has 1,000 or less characters. So here I'm asking, build an AI booking agent chatbot that schedules appointments with Adnan Abdullayev, which is me. Start with a chat trigger node for back and forth conversation. Use Claude 3.7 Sonnet with extending thinking enabled and these tools. So I'm asking what model to use as well as inside of LLM to enable option for thinking. Here we also prompted to add these tools: Think tool for reasoning, Google Calendar tools for get events, create events, as well as delete event and update event, Gmail tool, send email, and there we just mention basic agent behavior. So let's go ahead and actually send it. Oh, here's the one issue. Before sending it, let me rewrite my email. I use Claude to generate this prompt for me real quick. So let's see. Okay, we should be good. Let's go ahead and send it and see how will it perform when we prompt something more complex with more tasks, more rules, and basically we're asking for more things in more detailed way. We got the final output. Now let's go ahead and look at the parameters of this workflow, how the AI agent is set up. I'm not going to be testing this one, but we're going to quickly overview how it did. So we have the chat trigger. That's what we basically were asking for. Let's go ahead inside a booking agent. And as you can see, connect the chat trigger node and prompt user message, which will be coming from the JSON chat input, which is coming from the message trigger. Here we have our prompt. Let's look at it real quick. Your professional booking assistant for Adnan Abdullayev schedule. You can basically pause it here and just read it, but Looks pretty nice. It's very. It seems like it's focusing on the guidelines for the behavior of the AI agents that we mentioned in our prompt when we were prompting the workflow builder to build this workflow for us. So now let's go ahead and look at the Anthropic model, and here you can see it's not using the correct model. It should have chosen the Claude Sonnet 3.7. But good news are that it enabled thinking, which I was asking for. And honestly, I thought it's not going to be able to do that or will forget along the way. So we have chat memory, which we didn't ask for, but it's a good addition. We have think tool, and with the think tool description, use this tool to think about something. Then we have all the tools that we actually asked for. We have Gmail, send message. So here, probably those fields will have to be changed along the way after testing, or we can just let the model define this parameter. But let's go to delete event. So here we will have to select the calendar, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be applied to all of those calendar tools that are available for us. As you can see, for create event, it has start time and it has end time. So it's going to be plus 1 hour for creating an event. However, it passes the time as now. So that's something that should be changed. It either we have to let the model define this parameter, or we have to play and edit it, because not everyone wants to book an appointment for now, for the present time. Maybe they want to book the appointment in 2-3 days from now. Get all events. Here we have limit of 50, and it's gonna get emails, events from present time up to the time from present to the week. So basically from today and within this week, which is actually very good and impressive. So what is my verdict? I think that this new feature is awesome, and it can be very useful for the beginners or for someone who wants to just spit out some ideas, get some things going, and just test things out quickly. Is it something that can be used for production-ready workflows? No, 100% not at this point. The biggest problem, or the biggest minus that I have noticed with this feature, sometimes it adds steps that we just don't need, or overcomplicates the system, where it used edit field nodes when we actually did not need that part. But overall, I'm impressed. I thought it's going to perform much worse than it actually did. So for newcomers or beginners, it's something good to use and start building with. But if you're more advanced, you can use it, as I said at the beginning of the video, to brainstorm starting points of your workflow and just get your ideas out there, and then you can build on top of it or edit things. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or just want to share your thoughts about this new feature, just feel free to comment down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.